Hello and welcome to another episode of Moments of Consequence, our battle report series. Today we have Nick playing the Chaos Dwarves versus Jake playing a Liberation Greenskin Tide with just Goblins. Should be a fun match. Oblique deployment, 2,000 points. Take the field using the 2023 Renaissance Rules set.
Okay, I'm here with Nick. We are playing a 2,000 point battle. It is the Chaos Dwarves and the Greenskin Liberation Front, an all goblin army here to free any greenskins from bondage from the dwarves. So the scenario is take the field. Nick, why don't you tell us what you got?
I'd love to. So we have 10 Hobgoblin Wolf Riders with light armor, shields, and spears. The wolves showed up, the riders did not. We then have a unit of 5 Hobgoblin Wolf Riders with just bows. Next to them we have an Earthshaker Cannon, blessed be his name. Next up we have, these guys are actually being proxied, but these are going to be Blunderbuss Warriors. Then we have a unit of 20 Hobgoblins with crossbows. A unit of, I believe, 24 or something Orcs with great weapons, or sorry, double-handed weapons in this edition. In there we have a hero and a sorcerer lord. We then have another Earthshaker and another unit of 5 Hobgoblins with bows on wolves.
Okay, and on the Greenskin Liberation Front side, we've got 10 Goblin Wolf Riders, a Forest Goblin hero on a monstrous spider, 10 Forest Goblins with short bows, a large rock lava, clubbers and netters, Night Goblins with spears and shields led by Skarsnik, and a champion in that unit, Bolt Thrower, Night Goblin Archers with a BSB champion and level 3 shaman, Squig Herders, more Forest Goblins, and a Doom Diver. And again, we're playing Take the Field. Okay, so we just finished turn 1. So the Goblins went first with hopes of, with their Stone Thrower and Doom Diver, maybe taking out one of the Earthshakers. They both failed to do so. And failed a bunch of animosity checks. The Wolf Riders, Forest Goblins over here, and the General's unit all failed animosity. So really, other than these units on this flank moving up, and this unit moving up onto the hill, that was the only movement. And then in the Chaos Dwarf turn, the Earthshakers both landed their shells successfully, killing a bunch in this unit and this unit. And that means the next turn they may do nothing. So that's my spellcaster, my general, not able to do anything. The Hobgoblin crossbowman also took out a bunch of clubbers and netters, and a wolf boy was shot by a Hobgoblin Wolf Rider. So moving into turn 2, the lines have not moved much, and the Chaos Dwarves have been the more effective long-ranged army. Okay, so the Goblin turn 2, I'm going to say was a bit of a disappointment. A bunch of failed animosity checks. Well, 2, the Clubbers and Netters and the Wolf Boys both had animosity. The Skarsnik's unit and the Shaman's unit were both affected by the Earthshakers, so couldn't do anything. So really couldn't move up much, just this flank again moved up, and then the hero on the spider decided to strike out on his own, and these guys moved up, not quite in range yet. And both the Stone Thrower and Doom Diver misfired, unfortunately, since they were zeroed in on the Earthshakers. The Bolt Thrower at least managed to skewer 4 Slave Orcs. That was probably the little bright spot. The magic phase, the Shaman was out of commission because of the Earthshaker. The Hands of Karkoda are cast on the Squig Herd. And then the other spell attempt, Dweller's Blow, on this unit was blocked by the Banner of Spell Protection and the Chalice. That was its only, it ran out of
Juice.
Ran out of juice, so the chalice is at least gone. So that's I have to count my very small blessings for this turn, and it's unfortunately looking at another round of bombardment. Chaos Dwarf turn 2. Nick, what did you accomplish?
That's a great question. So over here we had some animosity, so they did nothing. These guys took some pot shots and missed. This Earthshaker once again hit Skarsnik's unit and locked it down, causing a panic chest, which they passed. This unit ambled forward. This unit of Hobgoblins with crossbows almost wiped out the unit of Goblin Archers, which was quite nice. We tried some magic from this unit, but there's a lot of little amulets and trinkets with natural dispels that are preventing anything from going through. And then this Earthshaker again nailed this unit, locking it down. We also have this unit, I think is still remains in play, the Hands of Karkora, so they are for now locked down. And these guys, did we shoot them? I forget.
Yeah, I don't think you shot them, so we'll do that.
Okay.
We'll do that. Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
Okay, so the Goblin turn. Not much to report, unfortunately. In the movement phase, the Wolf Boys finally surged forward, and the Spider Hero charged the Hobgoblin Wolf Riders, killed 4 of them, took a wound himself, and they held. There was no effective shooting. In the magic phase, I managed to dispel the 1 spell Dwellers Below that was cast on the Netters and Clubbers, and that was it. So we just had the Chaos Dwarf turn 3. What happened, Nick?
So the resolute Hobgoblin Riders were able to kill the Goblin Hero and tied the combat. These guys suffered animosity, so they're stuck here. These guys came around to support against the Goblins. These guys fired and killed some people. This guy's magic got shut down again. There's a lot of natural dispels going around. This guy fired and missed. The other Earthshaker misfired. These Hobgoblins over here just kind of skittered back here to cause some potential issues with the Doom Diver, etc. And yeah, that's pretty much what happened.
So Hand of Gork got cast on Skarsnik's unit.
Oh, yes.
So excitingly, from the Goblins' point of view, these 2 units were actually freed up to do stuff for the first time. And so Skarsnik's unit got teleported over here, and yeah, that was so moving into turn 4. Okay, so it's quite a turn for the Goblins. Let's see, the big news was the Stone Thrower hit the blunderbusses who fled, and also caused the Goblins over here to flee. The Spider held in an unlikely combat that it lost by 2, but rolled a 3 to hold. These guys, let's see, in the magic phase, were Hand of Gorked to this spot. It was and the cannon, the Earthshaker over here, got Morkwantia cast on it, so it is up in the air right now. And over here, the Forest Goblins killed a single Wolf Rider, but that was enough to send the rest of them fleeing.
You know what I'm going to do? I should use it before I forget. I'll just use Dispel Scroll and Morkwantia.
Oh, okay. Never mind. Cannon is not in the air.
Yeah, I almost forgot, and I always do this. Yeah, I will use my Dispel Scroll.
Okay. All right, so that's Goblin turn. So we just played turn 4 for the Chaos Dwarves. The Spider fights on, killed a Hobgoblin. The Blunderbusses rallied. This Earthshaker didn't get to shoot this turn because it was recovering from a misfire. Between the Hobgoblins and the Sorcerer, they absolutely annihilated the Netters and Clubbers that were kind of in this area.
Would you like to mention how they fell?
Well, it was Hobgoblins shooting them, and then they fell into the crevasse.
The mighty crevasse!
And then, so consequentially, this Earthshaker landed another shot right on this unit. And so I couldn't, didn't have my Shaman again. That unit's obviously reduced to just about nothing. the Hobgoblin Wolf Riders that were like over here and the ones over here both fled off the table. I think that's about it. Okay, so just had Goblin turn 5. Kind of made the last dash for glory. This was a unit of Night Goblins with Skarsnik and Gobla and a champion with a black gem of Nar. Charged the Orcs with great weapons and the Chaos Dwarf hero. So the plan, and the Night Goblins have the Dread banner. So if they won the combat, the Orcs would have auto broke. As it turned out, so the champion did lock up the hero with the gem, but the Orcs, along with the Shroud of Obscurity, so that meant my, Skarsnik and Goblet, everyone else hit on 5s. Only killed 3 Orcs. Orcs killed 4 Goblins, won the combat by 1. So I think that was my one big shot to turn the tide of the battle in a big way. In other disappointing news, the Spider finally succumbed to the remaining 2 Wolf Riders. I landed a Stone Thrower shot on the Earthshaker and then rolled a 1 to wound. So I finally got my hit and
the crew too.
And hit a crew too, and also rolled a 1 to wound on the crew.
Yeah.
And then the Doom Diver just scattered and missed the other Earthshaker. And once again, this unit was locked down during the magic phase. So that was Goblins turn 5. Okay, so we just played the Chaos Dwarf turn 5. And let's see. So really the big deal was that this unit broke Skarsnik's unit and ran them down. Otherwise, I don't think anything else too big happened, right? That these Wolf Riders actually hung in there, despite being targeted by 2 Earthshakers and 2 spells. So
yes, they were hit with the Crevasse, which I believe you dispelled, and the Dwellers Below, which they are apparently strong for goblins, and they crawled their way out.
Yeah, but nonetheless, so the other big thing was that the crossbow Hobgoblins just annihilated my Shaman, BSB, and the couple remaining Night Goblins that were in that unit. So
yeah, the randomization was the worst part too.
yeah. So basically my 2 units with the characters in them got killed. So we did roll for a turn 6, but when we kind of looked at where things are positioned and that nothing would really change in terms of table quarters, and it's clearly Nick has won the game based on me having almost nothing left on the table. So we decided just to call it there. So quite a intense battle, and kind of ironic and sad that my whole army was here to free the Greenskins, and they were the ones who ran down my general, their would-be savior. Some people just don't want to be saved. All right, Nick and I are here post-battle on the porch.
It's a beautiful day here in Vermont, excuse me, just north of my home in New Hampshire. That was a really exciting battle. One thing I really liked about it versus other Renaissance games is it really, I felt, went to the end. It was kind of, I felt like every couple turns it would toss back and forth, where I was like, this isn't working anymore, he's gonna get me, and then, oh, thank goodness this happened, I feel a little more strong again. But until the very end, I never felt like I was just like dominating in any way. It also still felt very tenuous, which I like in a game. I don't like extremely swinging a turn 2, okay, that's it, there's no point playing anymore.
Yeah, it was a good... I definitely felt like on the first 2 turns with the Earthshaker, I felt like, my army had barely moved. You clearly had the shooting advantage, but yeah, it was cool that once your Earthshakers missed, suddenly there was a lot I could do, both with magic and actually moving my units, and I guess one thing to note, we unfortunately were playing the Earthshaker wrong. We were making it last for 2 magic phases, so it should just be the next like, so you do it in your, like, say the Chaos Dwarf player shoots it in their shooting phase, obviously. It'll last through combat, their magic phase, and then the next player's movement and shooting phase.
Yes.
So we were doing it that it would last all the way through my magic phase as well. So unfortunately, I did miss out on some magic phases, which
May have made a difference.
probably could have been significant. But you know, that's why you keep playing more battles once you learn the rules. And but yeah, it was cool to like the Earthshakers were so consequential, and my attempts at taking them out were often close but not quite.
Yes.
And it I mean, artillery, it's just so, it can go so many ways. And
yeah, the volatility was very high in this game, for sure. You were able to hit me, but then like couldn't wound. But then one time you did hit me, and I completely panicked a leadership 10 unit.
That was awesome. That was my one glorious.
Yeah, that was a good shot.
Artillery shot.
Very good shot.
And it made hobgoblins flee off the board. It made them flee through the Earthshaker.
That was a bad turn for me. That was a turn where I was like, ah.
That's where it sort of felt like
I'm gonna pull this out.
Maybe the tide could have turned, and then I did think that with that my Skarsnik unit that I was gonna beat the Orc unit, but that's because I forgot they had the Shroud of Obscurity. So I was like, oh.
Also for listeners, the Shroud of Obscurity is a Chaos Dwarf only item. It requires the enemy to hit you on 5+ for melee and shooting, regardless of modifiers. We also had Baldur weigh in. Auto hit weapons act usually normal weapon skill. They do not auto hit.
Yeah, so the sort of point of that unit was to lock up his hero with a champion with the black gem, and
which worked.
And all I had to do was win by one with the I guess I explained it during the video, but yep, it was close, but
it was very close.
Not quite.
I do wonder if I should bring a throwaway champion from now on. Maybe.
That's like they're pretty expensive.
That's the problem.
It's tough because it's like sometimes you need it, sometimes you don't. It's definitely not an inconsequential amount of points.
No.
So it's like it is a tough one.
Yeah, I was worried about it. I mean, my leadership was very strong in that unit, so I would have to lose badly. But you did have the Dread Banner, so I would have auto-broken, which would have been bad.
Right.
I think for me, MVP of the game was a certain spell. It was the Hand of Karkora, which I cast on turn 2 and locked down a unit of squigs for the whole game.
Yeah.
I don't know how many points that was, but that unit was just out. Couldn't do a thing.
Yeah.
And pretty much blocked the Force Goblin Archers too.
Yeah, they were. That was good. I did have a funny realization that I think this would have worked, was that I could have cast Hand of Gork on your Orcs, because you just can target Orcs or Goblins and bring them to me, but you had the Spellier Shield, so it would have been probably not something I would have done unless it was like a moment of desperation, but I was also locked out of most of the magic phases, so there wasn't... I had it in mind, but it was in mind during a turn where I couldn't have done it anyway. So anyway, it just was sort of a fun idea. But
it's actually, what's interesting is, so I still think Earthshaker is worth bringing just for the movement shooting alone. The magic helps balance things in your favor in your magic phase, but I think it might be, and this is really, really risky, it also might give, I think it's called the Black Chalice or something. So there's a Chaos Dwarf item.
Oh yeah,
is it Ebon Chalice or not Chalice of Sorcery?
Darkness. Chalice of Darkness.
Chalice of Darkness. So Chalice of Darkness is a really sort of trolly item where you just roll a d6 after everyone gets their cards, and then you subtract that many cards from each player. It pretty much shuts down the magic phase for non-bound items. Or very closely. I mean, even if you roll double 6s and everyone gets 6 cards, like, on average you're going to lose 3.5, so you're still going to be quite handicapped there. I could see potentially using that on the turn that's not your turn once the Earthshaker is frozen up their sorcerer.
Can you use it or not use it?
You can choose to use it.
Oh, interesting.
But it is a very expensive item. I think it's 75 points. So it's kind of like it's a combo that might never pay off. And you could just take like almost 2 Hobgoblin Bolt Throwers for it if you wanted. So I'm not sure if it's really worth it. I did like your Bolt Thrower. I kept waiting for it to miss, and it did, but it hit on a 5 and a 6, and even
Yeah.
Shroud of Obscurity was pointless against it because it's goblins.
It would have been 5 anyway. Yeah.
So that was quite good. I might have to get some of them myself. Against your list, my hobgoblins were way less effective, and for a very good reason, which is that they quell your animosity, and that made me loath to get too close. Normally, I like to march block and jam people up, but it's not great when it stops animosity for his army.
My guys are jamming themselves up just fine.
Yeah, yeah. So I didn't really get much use out of them. They could have been more helpful for seizing objectives potentially, but they got kind of whittled down by random things, and a fear test broke them. So it is what it is.
Yeah, that's gonna happen. Panic tests are gonna always be the bane of those like little fast cav units on the flanks.
How expensive was your hero on the spider? Do you know?
I think it was like 137.
Okay, I'm trying to see. Okay, so yeah, my hobgoblin unit of 10 was 160. So I think they roughly sort of countered each other, and that was it for them.
Yeah,
he did hit like a ton of bricks, but then I was able to stay.
Yeah, that was a disappointment for me. I had high hopes for that guy, and it was his first.
scared.
It was his first battle. I really thought he was going to tear that unit up. I think. Yeah, I'm a little surprised he didn't, but
Yeah.
I
do think I'm going to keep bringing Chalice of Sorcery. It did burn out my first use, which it happens. It's okay. Sucks, but it happens. Though there is a part of me, I can't remember, it's a scroll where you can like use one bound spell from a lore. I don't know what it is off the top of my head. I'm considering that as a potential replacement.
You mean one of those new lore?
I don't know. It's the... Sorry for
Oh,
temporary...
you mean the power scroll?
Yeah, but I thought Power Scroll was just to cast a spell.
Oh yeah.
I could have sworn there was a thing that just lets you...
Ring
of Volans.
one time cast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Ring of Volans might be a better choice in some respects, because it's cheaper, but obviously there's the reuse element, right? So I don't know. It's sort of those things like how much do you want to spend? You can also just take a Doomfire ring, but again, that's very expensive. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm still figuring out Chaos Dwarf magic. I personally do not like the lore very much. I opted to take Teclis's textbook and take Light, obviously, and I'm glad I did. Crevasse did work on goblins. Like, it was really strong. He didn't get a lot else off because there was a lot of magic defense, whether it was arcane warding, or not arcane warding, but spell defense. You had the red gem or whatever, ruby gem on Skarsnik.
Amulet of Fire.
Amulet of Fire. So I
had some natural dispels, and I think if anything in the game, I would say I was lucky with were my dispel rolls. I rolled a lot of dispels.
Yeah, my magic was not great, but my artillery was appropriate considering how it's been doing last few
Appropriate.
games. Appropriate.
I feel like it caught way up to its luck.
Yeah, it was making up some difference.
You landed a lot of shells.
Yes.
I mean, I had some big blocks that were the 2-inch scatters were no problem at all.
Yeah.
But it actually would have been interesting to keep track because you rolled.
I rolled well.
You rolled some hits.
I did roll some hits. One thing that I'm also curious about is I had a second list which I didn't bring, which was a sort of Dispel level 2 sorcerer, Dispel Scroll, Staff of Three Sisters, just lore of a shit. And then a Lord who was like really tooled up for combat. But we had so little combat that I'm not sure if it would have mattered. The biggest difference was that list had 2 Earthshakers in it, 2 Death Rockets in addition to the Earthshakers. And I wonder if that might have been the better call, but I don't know. It's complete speculation.
I think it certainly might. I mean,
it might
if they were as accurate as your Earthshakers.
That's true.
It would have been.
Because in terms of magic defense, it was no difference. I mean, it actually would have been better, slightly.
Yeah.
It was 3+. But yeah, I don't know. I have to think about that. Likewise, I'm still thinking about how to use Bull Centaurs. I know for Chaos players, it's like 35 points for a unit is not that expensive, but for a Chaos Dwarf player, it is. And I'm kind of having difficulty figuring out how I want to do that, because they are quite expensive. Definite wins for me. The Banner of Sneakiness with a unit of 20 crossbow hobgoblins was disgusting, and it kept my orcs from ever taking animosity tests. So they, as far as a unit goes, were probably up there in the rankings for me. Obviously, Earthshakers did a lot of work,
so I'd be rude to discount them from here. But that unit really saved my butt a couple times. Like, it deleted things.
Yeah, that unit was nasty. That's actually what I really think of the Magic phase I could have gotten rid of, or
Tried to get rid of, yeah,
tried
for
to.
sure.
I actually wonder if I could have cast Hand of Gork on them, because they're hobgoblins. I don't know if they count as orcs or goblins, because I think they are a goblin type.
We'd have to check.
We'd have to check or ask. It may not even be covered by the rules, but obviously if I could have moved them,
Oh, yeah,
then they couldn't have shot,
Yeah.
and then I could have just charged them or
Yeah.
whatever.
They were one of the few units in my army that did not have magic protection.
I don't think, though, I was ever close enough, really, probably, that I could have done that move on them, so never mind. But Doomfire Ring was perfect for them.
I did dispel one Doomfire Ring shot.
You dispelled one Doomfire Ring.
It was just,
but I had 2 left in the ring.
Yes,
and
but it was just Earthshaker time.
Yeah, so that certainly would have been nice. I guess I really didn't have much else, though, that for them. Skarsnik's item would have been good, but he was never lined up against them, so that wouldn't have worked.
No, he was nasty.
The other thing that I had on my list that didn't come into play was I had the Horn of Urgok.
Ah, your favorite.
But I really wasn't fleeing.
No.
I was just traumatized by the shells.
Your leadership tests were quite good. Anyone who fled was run down.
Yeah.
Much. But that's true. That I did notice that your leadership rolls were quite good on a couple of occasions. Where I was like, "We need a 6." You're like, "No, I need a 5."
And then I rolled it.
Yeah, 4s and 5s.
Yeah, I did roll some pretty good tests here and there.
Yeah, I had decent ones, but then I had a couple that were disastrous. Like the blunderbuss unit.
But that actually didn't really hurt you. I mean, it obviously was like a big fail in terms of the roll, but
it was.
I don't know.
Yeah, they came back and then,
that the unit they were faced off against got annihilated anyway. So I don't think it really like changed the battle much, even though it obviously disrupted things. But
I'm glad I brought blunderbusses, but I still having difficulty conceptualizing their use. To me, they feel like unless your enemy is just frenzying across the board at you, and you know exactly what the lineup's going to be.
You know what I think they're better for is the stand and shoot.
Yes,
it's just kind of hard to charge them.
Yes, I would agree.
And I was actually thinking about it before the battle. I was like, how am I going to get at blunderbusses? Because I have these big blocks that if they would have,
I was hoping for,
even if they were like full strength and charged a blunderbuss unit, it would have been.
It'd be 40 goblins get hit with strength 5.
Yeah, which is insane. Like you.
Yes.
So I don't know. So I really was kind of scratching my head over how to handle that. I was hoping, Hand of Gork might get me out of that or whatever.
Did a good job too.
But so I don't know. I do think getting that dream shot off with the blunderbuss is where you line someone up, and I mean that is.
It's a dream.
It's really more that it's a deterrence thing, right?
Yes.
There's a square you can place where the enemy can't move into that.
Yes.
And that's like a pretty big deal, then it makes it really hard for them to charge, so...
Yeah, it's a scaling Hellblaster that can't shoot, pretty much.
Yeah.
It can only be charged.
So I think they have value.
I think
I would
value
keep
too.
taking them,
They're
for sure.
expensive.
Yeah.
And especially if you want to give them like shields and stuff, then they get really pricey.
Yeah.
Because I think they're like 12 points base or something like that. Hold on, I have my points here.
That is a lot.
Yeah, they're 12 each. I think a base warrior is 9, and with a shield they're 10. So
yeah,
you can get them up to be quite a bit, but I don't know. They seem good.
All right.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know. I've been thinking about Hobgoblin Assassins. They seem fun.
Oh, the sneaky kids.
Yeah, well.
Oh no, the assassins.
The assassins
Yeah.
They seem fun.
They seem cool. Yeah. Sorry.
So I might try to get some of those rolling, but I don't know. They're 50 points, just flat. You can't give them anything.
Mm-hmm.
But like they can ruin a champion or a sorcerer's day. You know what I mean? Just.
Oh yeah.
If you charge some hobgoblin unit or goblin spears. I've also been thinking about building a goblin list for Chaos Dwarves with peppered in hobgoblins to keep the animosity down, and then the banner of slavery to give a 12-inch stubborn bubble with a leadership 11 general. And it's just these stubborn leadership 11 goblins.
Well, you wouldn't be stubborn on the general.
Just the bees. Bees are theirs.
You're only stubborn on your own leadership.
So he'd have to be in the unit then.
Yeah.
Okay. Or a hero in the unit, right?
Yeah. So I guess you'd have to. What is the wording of the stubborn? Of it? Is it?
Sure. I'll find it 1 second.
Because I'm pretty sure that's how stubborn works.
So the wording for the slave banner, it's 75 points. Must be given to the battle standard bearer. All orc, black orc, goblin, and hobgoblin regiments within 12 inches become stubborn.
Okay. So I think they're just stubborn on their own. You know, whatever units. Yeah, I think they would just be stubborn on whatever the highest leadership in that regiment is. Like that's how
Maybe.
stubborn.
I don't
works.
know. I honestly don't know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Everyone, check your rule books.
But it does seem like a potentially very nice item.
Yeah,
But again, all the
and with a reroll, and even if you have a lowish leadership, stubborn
helps.
on a reroll is pretty tough. So
yeah, there's some others. I don't know. This in my opinion, I think the Chaos Dwarf book is kind of difficult to use in some ways. I've talked to Barrett about this quite a bit, and he kind of believes it's just a kid in a candy shop situation. There's too many options, and they're all very expensive. Because you've got magic, and you've got artillery, and you've got orcs and dwarves, and blah 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 blah. You've got all these big things you can do, war machines, and you kind of just have to figure out what's your synergy in your army, and then sort of eschew the rest, because otherwise you get lost in the weeds. And I think in my game today, I kind of feel like the Hobgoblin Wolf Riders were maybe a little bit of that. Like I think I mean they're very expensive for what it's worth. 2 units of 5 is 70 points, so it's not that bad. But it would have been nice if maybe they could have contributed a little bit more. But it is what it is.
yeah,
But it was a great game.
yep.
Enjoyed it.
Good battle.